to check it.
It is interesting watching it as a third person when you guys were doing it last week, because I tuned in while you guys were still bantering at the start.
Yep.
And yeah, it's fascinating because it made no fucking sense what you guys were talking about. And then it goes into the show started. And I'm like, the show has already started because I've been watching this already.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the audio version
But you're doing now what you're saying that we were doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not actually engaging with the show, right?
And,
people.
If you listen to the audio version, it starts at welcome, welcome, welcome. So it all makes sense in some way.
That's
It
true.
does, I know.
Yeah, watch it live, then listen to the audio podcast. That's the preferred method.
You got to get us in two different mediums.
All right, yeah, we are live.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Whenever you're ready, I've pressed the stop button. Okay, so 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Big Week in Gaming Podcast. And what do you know? It's been a big week in gaming. I'm Swinny for episode 102 on this Sunday, the 30th of October 2022. In this week's show, the very first Witcher game is getting a remake. Fallout 4 makes its way to next gen, aka current gen consoles. First impressions of Bayonetta 3 and more impressions of Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And what the hell is going on with Dark Souls PC servers? If you'd like to support the show, we'd love to get you to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. If you're a mega fan, come join us on Discord. All the links are in the description below at bigwigpod.com. Now, joining us today, we've got our executive producer, Intergot.
Hello, hello, hello.
And joining us for the first time ever, Yeezy himself, Kanye West, is on the show.
Hey, yo, 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 what up, what up, what up?
No, that's so dangerous. I was like, why did you set him up? Because he felt the energy needed to do an impression. He sounds nothing like Kanye.
I don't think he sounds like that. In
Can
my
I just
head,
say,
he sounds like Mike Tyson.
Mike, you have grown. You've gone on the character arc. The fact that you didn't mention any of his talking points of the last month, that was the most dangerous thing, Sweeney.
You know, look, I know you guys aren't Avengers fans, but there's a point in the movies where, like, Doctor Strange, like, looks at all the possible timelines, right, and figures out the best option. In my head, before this show, I'm like, if I introduce him as Kanye West, what are all the possible
Dude, you know what he could have said? He could have said, death to blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no.
He could have said,
No, given...
DEFCON 5.
I'm going DEFCON 6.
Man, yeah. Oh, look.
That was dangerous, Swinny. That's not like you.
Get away with that.
What's going on? What kind of mood? You're in a very Halloween mood, aren't you?
Man, he's one-upped himself. I don't know how he does it. He keeps one-upping himself each time he goes off the...
Dude, we're so old, we like fully remember the whole Taylor Swift thing when he jumped up on the stage and the George Bush thing. When they get on live TV, okay, we're going to pump things up. This is going on national TV. He goes, George Bush doesn't care about black people and all that. Which, by the way, I have so much admiration that he went up and did that, right? Had the balls to do that when everyone else was like, oh... I think it was Chris Tucker, was it, that he was with? And he's like, he just goes back to the auto cue script. He's like, shit, I don't want to lose my job.
And outside of the gaming sphere, the last couple of weeks have just been like just crazy stuff happening. Like between all that and, you know, Elon Musk finally actually like freeing the bird.
I love that.
All this stuff is just, it's kind of like all these things that it's like, not saying like the Elon Musk Twitter thing is a train wreck, but they're things you just can't you want to hear about it because it's just there's strange happenings, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of dramatic events, right? Like you have
strange
in
happenings.
Europe,
I like that.
an invasion of a country in Europe. Yeah, you have like Twitter just completely like the guy who bought it brings in a sink just to do a meme. He walks in with. Have you seen this, Mike? He walked into Twitter with a sink.
I have.
And then just tweeted, let this sink in.
Honestly, if I was a billionaire, I'd be doing the same shit, so I can't blame him.
Can I just say, it is actually true that I think Mike does have Elon vibes. That's true.
What? Elon vibes.
It's true, because he's got the same dumb almost dad joke stuff, right? And it's the thing is, I know that some people don't like Elon Musk, and I'm not a huge fan of him. I think you guys know that, but like, I think his heart's in the right place most of the time, generally.
I reckon, yeah.
And I think that's where Mike's is the same. Like, you'll have your heart sort of in the right place.
Yeah, only I have...
And then you'll do a Kanye impression.
A few billion less than him, let's just say.
A few billion less.
Well, how many billion is he? 45 or something? So, yeah, negative
subtract
45.
45 from that.
And hey,
But
by
I
the
better
way,
have more Hot Wheels than him.
going back
What?
to the Discord. Now we have like this. Come and join the party. We've got like people are just chatting to each other, like a proper Discord community.
Yeah.
And you guys are not on there.
I know. I need to get on. I need to
Discord, what's
I need
that?
to get on.
Not on there. I pressed Windows L and just locked myself out of the podcast.
I need to train myself.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
No, I'm back. I'm back.
He locked himself in the
It still worked, but I just like fuck. It's a
wild.
login screen.
It's amazing that worked actually.
I know, right? I was meant to put an emoji in. Oh well.
Well, for our audio listeners, we are celebrating the October Halloween festivities a bit with our, bringing back the old Halloween layout, and with some of us have dressed up some elements. I'm surprised that the Snapchat filters aren't back. I was expecting them.
They're gone.
Yeah, no, I was.
I actually deleted it. I deleted them. Mike
Wow.
ruined it. Mike,
Why?
Mike just went so. It's like a show that you just go too hard on. You're like, I'm just over this now. I can't even watch this show.
Okay, I only did it for like one episode.
Mike was saying before the show, it's like the flame that burns the brightest.
Yeah.
Half as long or something. That's like the Snapchat filters.
It was that
You guys
episode.
just went all in. And
Oh,
then
I
it was
burned
gone.
so brightly.
I think I was
One episode.
I was very diligent in my usage of the filters. I think it was that episode where Mike was clicking through a filter every few seconds while we were doing this show, and I was like, okay, I hate these filters now.
All right. Just one clarification at the top of the show I wanted to make.
Oh, yes.
So last week I was talking, Mike, I know you weren't on the show. I was talking about A Plague Tale Requiem. It
Yes.
came out
No,
on
I did
Game
listen
Pass.
to that part. Yep.
And I just mentioned, because I was talking on the show about the fact that, I was playing it on Series X, and that, the performance felt good. It's not 60, but I'm like,
Is that
it feels
40, I think?
Yeah, it feels higher than 30. I know, so I just want to clarify.
You also said about the VRR stuff.
Well, actually, so I didn't read. All I basically said was, with my setup. Now, I was actually waiting for Digital Foundry's kind of breakdown, and they did a good breakdown on it. And apparently, it's because if you've got TVs that support 120 hertz, then the game can run up to 40. But sometimes it's like hovering between the two. But it definitely felt smoother than 30. So I just wanted to clarify it was because of my setup and my TV that allowed
It felt smoother than 40 because I read it at 120.
No. I'm saying,
but it's also I think it's
know.
because
I'm
it's
just kidding.
you've got that VRR stuff.
yeah.
So it's like G-Sync
so it'd
for
be nice and
consoles.
smooth, yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that it was because of my setup. So not everyone with a Series X is going to have that, probably just run at 30
Okay.
for many
And
things.
we say,
So I
well,
just
not
wanted to
everyone.
clarify that.
Probably you say
Probably most people.
98% of people won't have it.
So yeah, so that's all I want to mention. Not a correction, just a clarification. So
You know, I actually knew that when you were saying about it, and I was processing. Oh yeah, it's because you've got the VRR stuff and it runs at 40 hertz. So maybe I should have said it.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess let's talk about some of the stuff we've been playing. So Intergot, what have you been up to this week?
Yeah. So good time, cough. So still in the Splatoon 3 Picross grind. I'm about 100 hours. 100 hours into Splatoon 3.
I like you bunch them together like you can do them at the same time.
It only came out 100
because
hours ago.
They're like, well, Picross is a very, okay, I'm going into work, play it on the train or whatever. Whereas Splatoon has to be a dedicated setup to play it, docked always. But really, really loving it still. It's a bit interesting that they didn't actually do a Splatfest or something like that for Halloween. They're doing it for the Pokemon release. And then I think like this new salmon run, big run thing's happening probably in December, which is going to be really cool. Played a bit more of Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Really, really enjoying that. I will park that game. But I am really, really enjoying it. Again,
You were hyped for that one. So
Yeah.
I'm glad
So-
it's turned out to be good.
yeah, to be honest, I would have been shocked if it didn't turn out well, because it's just such a good formula. Like a bit of a Mario XCOM. So yeah, the thing is, it's not as hard, but I actually think I prefer that. The first game is much harder than this one. And then,
So what's the reason you're parking it?
well, the reason why I'm parking it, Swinny, is because I picked up Bayonetta 3. The much controversial, maligned in some communities, now going the other direction. I don't know if we were gonna.
What a Jennifer Hale version?
We'll chat about it when we do the sizzler because there's a note
Okay,
there.
okay,
We'll touch.
okay.
We'll definitely discuss.
But just on the game itself, really loving it. Think it looks awesome. I know that Digital Foundry have published a video. I think it I don't know, it has like probably, poor performance in some areas, but to be honest, I kind of expect these of Switch games at this part of the cycle. To me, it looks really good.
So they've done the video for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually like I think
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's interesting what they said. They praised the fact that the game is like from a performance standpoint is pretty solid. But I think they were just saying that it was just from an art maybe I guess art design, not art design, just like some of the art just maybe wasn't as appealing, like the style of the game.
You know
as
what?
Maybe number two, they're referencing number 2 a lot. So.
I gotta say, when Digital Foundry, because I think they went from being like in my mind, oh my god, like what an awesome resource, exact frame pacing, kind of giving you an explanation of the feel that you have for some games where you're like, this game feels wrong for some reason. It's like poorly frame paced, all this other stuff. I find personally, just for me, they're going too far where they're talking about shit, and I'm like, this is just bullshit opinion that you have, and I'm like, I don't even think you're right about half the things.
But I mean, they have to they can't just talk about frame rates. They have to diversify the stuff they cover.
Yeah, and I can judge them on that as well, right? But
right. I mean, we're on an equal podcast level, right? I think we've now reached that level where I think one to one. We can make these comments.
I could definitely see you watching that video and being like, look, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
That's just pure opinion. And a lot of what they do is obviously opinion. I think it's just because of the scale of the game is much bigger in terms of like the areas and stuff.
Yeah.
But, look, I haven't played it.
I'm still a huge fan of the... I mean, I know you are too, obviously.
Oh, no, I'm a big fan. I
great
literally
channel.
watch most of the stuff that they put out. I watch their podcast, so I'm like actually a big fan of it. I actually prefer the podcast because it's just all opinion, right?
I actually like when they cover like things like Klonoa and like these retro games.
Yeah, same.
That's stuff that is just really cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm by myself, I think about the guy with glasses, the bald guy with glasses.
Is it the Dark 1X guy? What's his name? I
don't know his name, but
I know his Twitter handle, weirdly enough.
I think dirty thoughts about him sometimes.
Okay,
the British guy.
Yeah,
like
British guy,
you look a bit Jeffrey Dahmer-ish when you're saying about your dirty thoughts.
Not those kind of dirty thoughts. The
Oh,
other kind of
okay.
dirty thoughts.
I thought they're the only ones that you have. So just getting back to Bayonetta 3, the Bayonetta series. Swinny, you've played tiny bit of the first one.
Yeah,
it's just it's so extra is the best way to describe it, and this is so extra. Like, I hate spoiling stuff, but just like
piqued my interest.
You're in a cruise ship, riding a massive tsunami, crashing into a massive Megagorgon demon. Like, it's just like so literally over the top, and it just flows like one thing after the other. That you're just like on this crazy ride.
Wow,
so I'm
cool.
really enjoying it, and I'm kind of glad that I just said fuck it. I'll just jump straight into Bayonetta 3, and I'll swing back to Bayonetta 1 and 2.
I'm so glad they kept being able to do that series.
After
the first one, which didn't set the world on sale.
No.
Fire sales wise,
$500 million franchise though.
Thankfully, obviously, Nintendo really wanted some good games for the Wii U, so thankfully they kind of help fund that and bring number 3 to life as well. It's just I'm really happy they were able to do it, and it sounds like this one's selling pretty decently. So
well, I mean, you're matching it up with there's not as many games coming out on the Switch. Like, it's one of its biggest releases, I guess, when you put it like that. Unless some Mario release comes out in the next 3 months, it's going to be its big release for the Christmas period. So I think it's going to get some shine, and it's a really freaking cool game. Like, I'm glad that it's scored so well. I think it's like 89s or something like that. Like, it might play
really good.
Like a really last minute play into the Game of the Year award kind of contention. The one thing I would say, like, and I'm really, really enjoying it, man, like, it does not hold your hand if you have just joined the series. Like, it is like straight in. Like, not really any, how most games like this will have the tutorial pacing all the way through it.
Yeah,
it kind of doesn't do that. It just like puts it to the far left. Hey, you could do combos or this or that or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not dying and stuff like that, but it's just like I know I'm I'm kind of just mashing this shit. I'm not really playing in an optimal way.
And that's interesting because there's going to be a lot of people where this is their first Bayonetta game. A lot. Way more than number 2, I think. So,
100%.
Or at least
Now I gotta play
just
one
because
too.
of the install base, you know.
Yeah, number 2 sold way less than number 1, but I actually would have thought they would have had because they talk about it in the options that you pick. Like you have to pick the naive angel thing, like on or off and stuff like that, right? And it's quite
Naive Angel, is it on or off for you?
it's off, of course. Come on.
But what about the kids, you know?
Well, they're not watching me play it.
They're sneakily watching you over your shoulder when you're on the
But
handheld.
the weird part about it is they change things in the game that to me, and the example they use is not like her in a very kind of salacious perspective. They actually use the guy smoking a cigar to be like naive angel mode's off. When you put naive angel mode on, his cigar turns into, it looks like a chocolate cigar with like sprinkles on it, but it's still like the same motion of smoking it with
awesome.
smoke. I'm like, I don't really think that's enough, guys. Like, come on, what the hell?
Should have turned into a giant, what is it, fad? You know, those
Yeah.
candy
Yeah.
cigarettes?
Yeah, so no, but hey, I'm really loving it. Like I'll focus in on trying to get through that game before God of War Ragnarok that is coming out in a few weeks, which is already
About to hit.
it's already being sold in like Target in the States. It's like what a stuff up. So, and unlike what is it, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which has an installer on the disc, and that's it. Ragnarok is like the full game's on it. You don't.
Well, might as
You
well
can just play
mention
it.
now.
Megabytes.
There's a note. Yeah, there's a note in our Sizzler I was going to mention. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw it, Mike, but yeah, like it's
No, I did see that.
72
yeah. It's
megabyte
crazy.
installer.
Yeah.
That's all that's on
Wow.
the disc.
Well, you can fit the entire Call of Duty in 72 megabytes, can't you?
Not even probably number 1, right? So,
That's so.
but that does stop
Yeah,
these situations, right? So it's interesting. So I saw Corey Barlog, the guy who directed God of War 2018, was like complaining about it and getting super annoyed and being like, "Oh, we should just do an installer next time because this is like bullshit." But yeah, far out, what a stuff
Damn.
up. So there's a lot of spoilers about God of War Ragnarok at the moment. So YouTube's going to be full of it, which is quite annoying.
Cool. I'll look out for them.
But how about you, Mike? What have you been playing?
Well, the opposite of installing, I have just uninstalled Deathloop, and that is because I finished it.
Oh, nice. You
Not
clocked
because
it,
it was-
sorry.
I
don't
clocked
understand
it.
this finished
I
term.
know, finish. What the hell is that? So I did clock it properly, finally. It kind of felt like it maybe overstayed its welcome a little bit, but that's maybe because I was focusing on doing tangenty stuff that, like, getting certain weapons and stuff that didn't require relooping
Yeah.
all the time. And it felt like I had stagnated, but the game makes it pretty good in the menu to figure out where to kind of go next or what to do next. So it doesn't completely hold your hand. You're still free to kind of jot things down and figure things out for yourself, but it does guide you on where to go. And it was a really cool experience. I really enjoyed it overall. Good gameplay, cool story, awesome concept, different ways of approaching situations so you can kind of experiment and explore, especially maybe halfway through the game I started doing that. There are certain things that you prefer and certain things that you'd like to stick with, but then depending on what you need to do on that particular level, because there's, without spoiling anything, 4 separate maps, and within that they change throughout the day. So effectively each map has 4 variations of it. And there are certain things that you need a different approach potentially, and there's different abilities that can help more. But yeah, mixing and matching, really, really fun. Some really cool concepts, funny dialogue, some really cool bits. I highly recommend that game. It's a really, really cool, solid game. So, and I know, Swin, you were talking about it last week, that you gave it a shot as well. So I think
And
it's
look,
worth pursuing.
I liked it, and after the show, when you obviously heard what I said, you're like, "Oh, it's a shame you didn't like Deathloop." I'm like, "No, I didn't say."
Yeah, I
that."
misunderstood.
I
I
was
thought you
just-
weren't really in.
Well, what
feeling
I
it.
realized is
Oh, I
when
thought you
talk-
weren't that into it either, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, I was basically saying I just felt that the way the game introduced all the concepts, like I just maybe didn't like the way they did it. It just felt a bit
The
overwhelming.
tutorial's like an hour and a half long, basically. Yeah.
But what I
Dude,
realized
Not quite,
that
it's-
does drive me nuts, though. That's
I
like
don't know. No.
Xenoblade
So hang on.
Chronicles.
It's hard to describe it. It's not so much as the tutorials that it's just the way the game kind of flows. It's not an hour and a half, but you kind of just have to go with it. Don't bother doing side stuff, exploring too much, because there's no point until about an hour into the game.
It's kind of like, due to the nature of the game, they need to unravel it like a bit slower than most games. But no, what I realized, and I do this all the time, where when I know a game is good, I'm like, well, everyone knows this game is good, so I find it more interesting to talk about the stuff I didn't like, which means I'm come across thinking that I don't actually like the game very much, where it's actually the opposite. I was like, oh no, it's a really cool, unique game. I just I think at the time, you know, when you go into a game, you're like, all right, I'm really going to sink my teeth into it, blah, blah, blah. You know, when with this whole Game Pass resolution I've got, a lot of it's just, I'm just going to go try it out for a little bit, and if I get hooked, I'll get hooked. So it's kind of like the way you approach it also means, I'll come back to it, you know. So
I have to say, like, because you know that I hate spoilers, and I actively avoid seeing anything if I can, right? Mike, you gave us Deathloop on PS5, right? When I saw the B-roll last week, I was like, oh, it's an FPS? Oh, shit.
Wow. You really avoided spoilers. Holy moly.
I think I know more about like the idea of what you're trying to do than like, the style of the game. And I'm like, it's an FPS. I'm like, I don't think I play it on console. I think I need to play it on PC.
They bloody showed this game off in so many of the events that we like live streamed and watched. You must have just been like, producing.
No,
producing stuff.
No, but they actually showed. They would have showed the FPS, so I would have missed it. But I think they did actually show a lot of like cinematic third-person perspective.
Yeah.
Right. I actually remember that. I should go back now that you've called me out and find some videos.
There's not even any cinematics in it, though. There aren't.
No, I'm saying, but like in terms of trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's more weird like because the game itself is nothing like that.
There were trailers that were showing I can't remember his name, the main guy, and then
Colt,
and like him versus the main female character. Yeah, so like it was, and you saw their actual character models and stuff like that. So it was
yeah. Okay. I mean, I won't say anything about it. You see Juliana as a third person, but you don't see yourself because obviously you play as Colt. But it's I played it on.
This is part of it. See, like this.
Yeah,
this kind of stuff. So
that does not happen in the game.
Yeah, so but I fully admit that like later in this trailer they show heaps of like FPS and stuff like that. So
yeah,
but I think I was just like not paying attention.
But enough. One thing I will say though, PC as well. So I played it on both console and PC, and I was going back and forth a little bit, and it may well be that I got so one of the ways I started playing is I had a silenced pistol. And then I played sort of semi-stealth for a good chunk of the game. And just because of the accuracy required, especially in really sort of tense situations, I couldn't do it on console. It was just so...
there you go. Yeah.
I had to go to PC. Yeah.
But look at this. Look at this. Look how much third-person like perspective is in this.
This is like... I know, I agree. This is a bit weird. But no, this is like...
This is like me not paying attention. The game. I know. And then I'm like... Why are they starting this whole thing is like you're a third person, so...
Yeah, it's really...
It's interesting.
But yeah, highly recommend it. I think it's a really cool game, and I think Joe Giles was tuning in. It is on Game Pass on PC, if I'm not mistaken, so worth giving a crack as well, Joe. Good game.
Cool, and that's all you've been playing?
Yeah. In the last 2 weeks, I played little bits and pieces of random things, but not enough to... Like, I played a little bit more of The Witcher... which we'll talk about in a second in terms of something else.
Witcher 3.
Yep, The Witcher 3.
Because the good correction, because I could get confused with The Witcher.
Could get confused. But everything else was just like really quick dabbles that are not worth mentioning.
I like how Swinny sounds like a disappointed dad with that question. That's all you played this week. That's all you're playing?
You're grounded.
No,
so you're to play more games.
I only kick one goal?
The tone was more of you saying no and then I move on to me. That was kind of the tone I was going for.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that either.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
All right, so...
I'm really slow. So what have you been playing, Swinny?
No, he just bad execution.
So, look, a couple of things I just want to mention off the top. I finally got an update from Limited Run Games about Ender Lilies, the Quietus for the Nights, our game of the year from last year.
You ordered it. Yeah,
I ordered
special.
the physical edition from Limited Run Games 7 months ago.
Whoa.
I just got an email this
Ooh.
week saying, it's arriving this week. And I'm like,
Oh,
I
cool.
completely forgot I even bought that.
Damn.
And that made me go, is that the normal time frame for Limited Run Games to deliver products?
I don't
Over
know.
half a year
Wait,
later.
is that a rhetorical question or
Well, I'm wondering, do you guys know?
no idea?
I
Never
didn't
ordered
think you would,
anything from
Mark.
there.
It's more like,
Hey,
I think you would know
I'm
more
into
than I
that
would.
kind of stuff. I'm
Yeah,
into that kind of
exactly,
stuff.
yeah.
Although I
They-
keep track of orders I make.
How do you keep track of it? How do you keep
I
track
just
of
had
it?
a feeling
I used
Intergot
to
might
keep
be
a
the more likely person to answer that
spreadsheet.
question for me.
You
I
keep
had
a
a spreadsheet.
spreadsheet of all the shit that you've ordered. You order
had
way too
some,
much
yeah.
stuff that you keep a spreadsheet of all the shit that you order.
Maybe. But I stopped
that's
doing
smart,
that.
by
And then I
the
got an
way.
email. Well, no, but I stopped doing that. And I got an email the other day for a Lego Speed Champions that I ordered back in late July or something from Big W. And I get an email saying, your order's on the way. And I'm like, huh? And then I looked at my eBay history. Oh my, that's like 3 months ago I ordered that thing.
Oh wow, that's a
So
massive step
that's
up.
really bizarre for
But going
Big W.
back to your question, I don't think it's that surprising. I think sometimes it can take a year, from what I've
Well, it's
heard.
the first time I'd ever ordered anything off them, so I had no expectations. I knew it wouldn't be, oh, you're getting it in a couple of weeks, but I didn't realize it would be that long.
No, I think it
So-
can be really long because I think sometimes they can also like make the order that like they have an open pre-order, so they wait
Yeah,
till
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
orders, and it takes a while to make that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
There is something else I believe you ordered that you were going to talk about, but then you didn't want to talk about, but then I think you should talk about.
Yes,
this
and I'm
the time
about to
to
talk
talk
about
about
it,
it?
Mike. Thank
All
you for doing
right.
the segue for me. I'm just going to mention that I finally received my copy of Soul Arts. So
Oh,
Soul
so
Arts
cool.
Yes.
is really fantastic artwork compendium put together as part by Vati Vidya, aka Michael Samuels, the Australia's own big Souls community veteran.
Michael's are
And-
the best.
Vati, he basically throughout the years, I'll just back away a little bit, he's held lots of competitions for artwork for the Souls community. So, for example, and they're broken down the chapters in this art book. I'm not going to talk too much to it, I'll just mention to give you an idea. For instance, competition, this is before Elden Ring would seen trailers and stuff, you know, to design bosses for Elden Ring, to design the
Oh,
unseen
cool.
lands of Dark Souls like Katarina and Karim that are mentioned in the lore, but no one ever, you've never seen them.
Sekiro weapons.
Or Demon Souls 6 Archstone, which is, you know, famously broken in the game. That's like, okay, what would you design to be behind that?
So cool.
So this
That's
is an
cool.
absolutely beautiful art book that I was going to review on the show, but unfortunately I just didn't get the time to properly read it because there's lots of actual just text alongside the art pieces that the
I
community
think he
did.
wrote all the text, didn't he? He did all the writing for it from memory.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I haven't read it yet.
Almost.
So I mean, some of them may be the actual artist's own descriptions of things, but it's really really cool. It was a Kickstarter project that raised a lot of money, and I'm hoping to have a good look at it this week.
Pounds.
Can you
and
still
I'll-
order it as well, Swinny?
I'm not sure.
I think you
wouldn't-
can. I looked
think
it up.
you
I
can.
think you still
Yeah.
can. Not
What's it
through
called again?
Kickstarter,
Art
obviously,
Souls?
It's called Soul
but
Arts
Soul Arts.
by Vati Vidya. and it's
Single, just soul, not souls.
Soul Arts. And it's actually you can probably buy it directly. Yeah, you can buy it directly from Tune and Fairweather. Tune and Fairweather are actually people that produce the actual art book. And it's currently $80 so whatever. Sorry, 80 euro, whatever that.
Whoa,
goes
that's
to 127
a lot for us.
Australian.
But it's a premium from what I've seen because he's got a YouTube clip of it that I watched a little while ago, and he goes through it and stuff. It is premium, as in like some of the pages. So, for
This-
example, there's one where it's got a Sekiro weapon, and in one of the pages it folds out, and you can sort of see it across 3 pages.
Yeah, I sent you a photo of the page
Yeah, it's
folded out.
really cool. And even, do you have the sleeve for it? With
No,
the
so I don't
cutout?
have this. I don't have the sleeve. I've just got the actual book itself.
Oh,
so,
did they
but-
not all come with the sleeve?
No, depending on what you backed, you got different things.
He's
So
is it a signed copy?
I don't think so. I think I just got the book.
I think the sleeve was signed anyway.
So-
Just it was like a sleeve that had.
Yeah, I've
it was
just got the
basically like a
book.
protective sleeve, but it had a
Oh,
cutout.
imagining
circle
Bloodborne
cutout,
2.
that looked cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's another chapter.
Yeah.
So I'll.
So wait, just to be clear, this only has stuff around the Souls series that doesn't exist. Is that the whole? I've got it.
Well, I mean, that's referencing, for instance, like it's
Yeah.
referencing areas that are referencing Dark Souls, but it's basically a
It's fan art.
compendium of community art. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
but
That's
it's
really
really
cool.
high
It's
quality.
really cool.
community
Yeah.
art. Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, it looks awesome.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I'm seeing how you can actually order it. Like, I still can't find a way to order it.
Well, Tune and Fairweather. If
thought-
you go
yeah, I
to Tune and
thought that
Fairweather's
website.
website, you can order it from there.
Yeah, I
Ah,
thought there was
okay.
a add to
And
cart.
they're-
And it said something about 2023.
Tune and Fairweather are based in Ireland, I believe. That's why it
Ireland.
defaults to euros. So
Ireland.
Okay.
cool. Now, in terms of some stuff I've been playing, so I actually finished Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So I said last week, I've talked about
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, and I said last week, oh, it might take me a couple of weeks because it's not clicking with me. The game finally
Did it click?
clicked with me,
Okay.
and it was I was a good way
100
into the
hours
game
in.
before it did click. But I think once my build started coming together, and the second half of the game in terms of quests and areas are just way more interesting, and I'm like, okay, finally, this is the game I was wanting it to be. So I 100% it, did everything, did all the DLC. The DLC is like absolute dog shit. It is.
Oh.
The Borderlands games are well known for great DLC. Wonderlands is notorious for having probably one of the worst DLC. And considering you buy a season pass, that's like $40, and it's these little shitty missions that, if they were $5 each, would be worth it, but they're like $15
Wow.
separately. But look, I ended up having fun with the game. It's still, I would rank it at the bottom of out of all the Borderlands games personally, because
Damn,
it did
okay.
take, like, I wasn't having fun for the first third of the game. So, whereas I've always had fun playing the Borderlands games, but it was a good time. Definitely not going to make my kind of contenders for game of the year, but I think for some people, it might. So, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I ended up enjoying it. So, now a game that I also didn't enjoy very much, but I really wanted to try it, was Marvel Snap. I don't know if you guys have heard of this game.
I have indeed.
I have as well, sadly.
Yeah, so it's for some reason, a lot of podcasts, a lot of people talking about it. I'm like, okay, how much is that people just playing it for fun, and how many of them, okay, we've got sponsored, and I have no idea. But I'm like, you know what? I want a mobile game. I haven't got a current game that I'm playing on mobile. I want to try this. And the actual gameplay, it's a Marvel like card game, competitive card game with like 3 lanes. And the actual gameplay mechanics are fine. And it's like the cards are cool and everything, but I just still can't get past. You hit that home screen and it's just like, just everything mobile game that you hate about the whole monetization, about the whole store, about the season passes and everything. I'm just like, I just can't deal with this shit. I just want, like, if it was a version for $10 and that was it and that's all you paid and there was none of that shit, I'd probably get it because the core game was pretty fun. But one day I'll find that magical premium ad-free, monetization-free mobile game, and it'll probably take me a while.
You used to have
before I
one.
do.
It was Final Fantasy something, the one that made you throw your phone. Or
Well,
maybe throw your phone.
That's
'cause
not a
of some other
casual.
reasons,
I'm looking
but-
for a casual game that you just pick up and play for like a couple of minutes at a time,
okay.
not an actual full-blown RPG or anything on my phone. So
Okay.
anyway, Marvel Snap. I don't like mobile games. Is probably the end result of that one.
Moral of that story.
But in terms of some last couple of games, so I actually went a bit spooky this week with Halloween theme. I actually played a few Game Pass games that got added this week. Surprise, surprise with the timing. All the Amnesia games. So Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth, and Soma, another game
good.
by
Played
by the same developer. And the Amnesia games, I didn't play them for that long. I'm not a horror game fan, even though, like, when I say horror, like, these are spooky games, but they're not like Outlast level horror or anything like that. And look, I think they're really, really cool. For some reason, the first Amnesia game gave me it's like almost like Thief vibes in terms of the way that the game feels, like early, like mid 2000s kind of era. I know it was a bit later than that, but it's like it had that kind of vibe to it. But and I tried Amnesia Rebirth, which is the most recent game, and that one's actually a really, really nice looking game. That seems really cool. But the game I actually
try that
put the most time into was Soma. So
On
Soma's,
easy mode or normal mode? Are you
so
about to tell me?
I just played it on easy mode just because I wanted to experience the story. I didn't care about the actual horror aspect, and I'm honestly glad I did because the story was really, really, really cool. Like, I love the story in that game, and I actually finished it. I finished it just before the show, and it's a bit longer than I expected, but it's really cool just as the general premise. You know, it's you're kind of in an abandoned like underwater research facility, and it's in the future, and you're just trying to figure out what's happened, and all this crazy shit starts happening, and it's just there's some really cool moments in it, and some moments that you're like, oh, that didn't feel right, or like it's unnerving moments, not from a horror standpoint, just like ethical unnerving moments.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
really
Interesting.
cool.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I
gotta play
really
that
recommend
properly.
Soma.
I
Like
never finished it.
Yeah, it's it's out on Game Pass now. On I think it's on PC as well as console. But yeah, Soma, I really recommend. I thought it was fantastic. So
I just remembered. This is going to sound really dumb. I actually played and finished Thymesia as well. Yeah,
it's another game you completed.
it's another game. I don't know why the hell I
Cool.
forgot that one. Yeah.
So you actually finished it. All right.
I
Cool.
finished it. Yeah.
so
Do we
funny.
have a couple of minutes for some quick thoughts? Because
No,
I know you
we have to
finished it,
move
but
on.
you didn't want to talk about it. Damn it. Yeah. So look, mixed thoughts. I think overall,
So
I
I just
didn't
want to say,
really like it.
Thymesia is the Souls-like game I was talking about a couple of weeks ago.
yes.
Yeah.
And by Souls, like, I mean, it's inspired, it's got certain elements, but it definitely is a different kind of game to me. It just gave me, well, look, it's not made by a big budget studio or anything.
It's like 7 people or something.
Exactly. So for what it is, great. But as a game overall, I remember I told you it just didn't really captivate me. I kept sticking with it, but I don't think I really enjoyed it at all the entire time. And I love those kind of games, but I also think it's not really a Souls-like kind of... I mean, it's a Souls-like kind of game, but it's not really a Dark Souls kind of game. Everything from the very linear world and the fact that you kind of get a chunk of the map, and it tends to be pretty bland, if I could put it that way. And when you unlock shortcuts, it's not the same level of unlocking shortcuts that you feel like in Dark Souls. There was like no satisfaction that I unlocked the shortcut. I didn't really care. And the way it sort of the level design felt like I have no better way of putting it other than it's something I would have designed, and that's not a good thing, if that makes sense. It felt soulless in that sense. But the characters were cool, and as a game, the concept was really cool, and I think the mechanics were actually really cool. So I'm still glad I paid for it, because I bought it outright. Obviously, it's not on Game Pass or anything, because I do want a developer like that tries their luck. Well, it's not luck. Their hard effort at creating a new IP like this to actually go and do number 2. Because the concept's cool, the world is cool, the ideas are cool, and the battle system or the combat is really cool. So, yeah, I didn't really like it, but I'm kind of glad in a way that I support it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, it felt like a really good first test run for a developer. Like, if they made a second game or another Souls-like, because you said it's not really Souls-like, and that confuses me because it literally is a Souls-like, but it just has different elements like battle-wise and stuff.
Souls
but I mean, it's still
Souls inspired.
It's still lock onto an enemy, dodge away, respawn enemies at a bonfire game.
What's the version of the bonfire for that game?
It's like a chair.
It's a chair.
Yeah.
A chair.
Yeah,
Well, it's
because
not- yeah.
Actually,
No, it makes
isn't
sense.
Yeah.
it
Ender
makes sense in
Lilies
the
a
theme
chair?
of the game.
From memory?
Yeah, it's that's
Kinda
more like a bench. It's like a
yeah,
bench.
yeah.
This
is the
is-
new one.
It's kind of it makes sense in the tone of the game and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, not I 100% think that I don't agree, but I think that's fair, Mike, because there's certain elements where you're like, hey, they were clearly also on a budget with this game.
Oh, absolutely. So I understand. And look, we didn't pay $90 for it. We paid $27-30 for it or something.
Yeah.
I will put $20 towards the gaming experience, and I will put a bonus of $10 towards helping the studio create number 2, which hopefully fixes all those gripes
make
I
it
had
number
with number
2.
1.
Cool.
So yes, please make number 2.
Well, thank you for that extra game. Next time we can maybe
Can't believe I totally
check that
forgot
in
it,
the
man.
spot where you talk about your
wait,
games.
I played
I
Dead
finished it last
Space.
week.
I forgot I said I've beaten Dead Space.
Beaten Dead.
Yeah, shit. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
So the
All
one
right.
thing I really like about it is at the back you can see his health, Isaac's health. It's
Oh, really?
Diegetic,
What's that called?
diegetic.
Diegetic.
Yeah,
Diegetic.
That's right. Woo!
All right,
I need a screen shake button.
we want to talk about some news.
Nah.
I think we're gonna wrap up the show.
We'll just end the show. All right.
Let's end the show.
All right, first on the news. So, hot on the heels of announcing their massive 7-game pipeline earlier in the month, CD Projekt Red have confirmed that one of those titles is actually a full-blown remake of the very first Witcher game. So, The Witcher, for anyone who doesn't know, was CDPR's first game, coming out in 2007 for PC, and gained a cult following. It wasn't a big, massive sales success, but it definitely had a lot of fans, and it made them really kind of did, kind of get their name out there. It was based on the popular fantasy novels from Polish author. I'm going to screw this up, but Andrzej Sapkowski. Is that how you say it? Sapkowski. I actually did look up. I looked up a video. How do you say this? How do you say his name?
Andrzej Sapkowski.
Yeah, it's Sapkowski.
But I couldn't replicate the way they were saying it in the video. I'm like, I got no hope.
You pronounce it like an American.
You English people.
Yeah. But
Andrzej Sapkowski.
They released an enhanced edition.
Sapkowski.
They released an enhanced edition a year later, and which had new content and lots of improvements, and obviously was followed by The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3. And Witcher 3 is obviously just really blew them up into a household name as a developer.
And then they really blew up when they did.
Well, we don't talk about Cyberpunk in this segment, so. But the remake was one of those unannounced games they talked about, and it was dubbed Project Canis Majoris. And
I like the names. They're
if
so
you think back to during that segment, it was absolutely ridiculous, like talking about all these games. But never once did it cross my mind that the game that was basically they announced the new Witcher trilogy. We knew one of them was happening, Witcher 4 or whatever the equivalent is. But then they said there was another single-player action RPG being developed by ex-Witcher developers that are no longer at CD Projekt Red using Unreal Engine 5. I'm like, that's weird. Like, why are they... And that's the remake. So now it makes sense what that
didn't occur to you that in 2022, when people remake games that are like 2 years old or something, that there's a possibility that
I got it all wrong.
That.
I thought it was a Witcher 3 remake. That was so stupid.
Yeah. But I had no idea. I think
that's cool. That's welcome news.
But
absolutely,
basically, it's being developed by a Polish studio called Fool's Theory. Basically,
wait, how do you say that in Polish, though?
I don't know. You know Polish, don't you, Mike? You're from that area.
Yeah, right. Okay, I know Croatian and
that's racist. See, if he was from Asia and you said
right?
that's racist.
Exactly.
We got him.
I know. What the hell?
All right,
all of a sudden, all East Europeans are the same. All of us go and steal cars and Mike, I don't know what else we do.
Mike, we're successful. We can finally end the show. We spent 102 episodes just trying to find one clip of Swinny being partially racist against white people.
You jab at me, I jab back.
And also, by the way, you got to say it correctly. The Witcher Part 1. That's what this remake is called. You want to get it right.
And it's following The Witcher Remastered on the previous console. So no platforms or release date known. So it's
no PC.
Now, you look at Full Series website and they've got lots of job listings there. So clearly they were looking for talent with this announcement because this is obviously going to be a long way away. But they probably, if there's a company called Full Theory that's never released a game, from what I can tell.
I'm a fool. I reckon I'll fit right into this company.
Whereas then you turn around and go, we're working on the Witcher remake. They're going to get a lot more talent coming their way. So,
but I'm not talented.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of this announcement because I have yet to play the original Witcher. I've got it installed on Steam. It's like I've been meaning to play it for ages, and I've just never bit the bullet and gone there. And I'm really happy that I'll probably just jump in at this remake eventually when it comes out, because I know the general overview of what the story involved because I was jumped in at Witcher 2, so I kind of wanted to catch up on, what was the major events. So I'm really happy to actually, that they're doing this, to be honest. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, nice.
Anyone else have any thoughts about it?
Well, no, I mean, Mike is more of a Witcher person. I don't know if he's
that's what I was waiting for Mike. I'm like, we're not saying you segment. I don't want to get Mike's take
person.
on it.
See, I'm even wearing a Witcher hat. Wait, no, they don't wear hats, do they? They just have white hair, which I am getting a lot of. If you actually look carefully, my beard is starting to really salt and pepper now. So yeah. Anyway,
Mike's distracted because he's chatting to the chat. That's
I am
what's
chatting
happening.
to the chat.
You should be listening
So
to me.
I am actually really, really kind of excited about this because I think I finished The Witcher 1 after I finished The Witcher 2. So it was a bit jarring going back to The Witcher 1, which by today's standards is a little clunky, obviously, and it feels quite different to what the modern versions of it feel like. But it's a great game, great story, and it'd be awesome to go through the story again from the start to experience the journey again, especially because I'm assuming when they do a remaster, it's not really just going to be a remake, remaster, remake, you guys know what I'm talking about.
It's a remake, it's not a remaster.
It'll be a proper new thing.
It's being built from the ground up, yeah.
Which I think so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And then I think naturally I can sort of see how that they'll get put onto to do The Witcher 2 as a remake as well. And I think it's really cool for people to be able to experience the journey of 1 and 2 properly. So I'm looking forward to that. Incidentally, on the topic, I read today, I think, that Liam Hemsworth is taking over as The Witcher in the Netflix series from
I don't know if he's fucking around with us or not.
No,
Jesus
I didn't
It's
see
actually
it in
hard
the run
to say if
sheet.
he's fucking around with us.
But anyway,
or not.
I thought it's appropriate to talk about that now. So, and you know, I like to think I'm straight,
I haven't
but
even
I do have a
finished.
thing for
I haven't even
Henry
contributed to
Cavill,
this
so-
Witcher thing before he's already moved on.
No, I haven't moved on to it. I'm still talking about The Witcher. So it is disappointing to see Henry Cavill. I'm sure my girlfriend is super disappointed. Her and her sisters and all her friends and stuff giggle every time there's a new episode of it coming on. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see and see if it's jarring to go from a feeling like it's a different character.
Not the only thing coming on.
Oh yeah, anyway. So in terms of the game,
you make it way worse.
I'm not saying any more on that
to
topic.
take a sip of coffee in the middle of that line. Just had to
Because
go
I was
with
going to
it.
say something
It's like
bad,
the
and I'm like,
timing
I
is
better
not
restrict
funny.
myself and take a sip.
was quite
There's not
funny.
even any coffee left in this. It's empty. I just had to like mute myself by putting something in my mouth. So what are your thoughts? Because you never played the. Wait, hang on. Have you ever played the original Swinny? In one ear,
That just goes to show you were not listening to what I was saying that entire fucking segment.
I was
I was
passed out,
replying
that
on
was
the
so funny.
chat. I was replying on the chat. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my god!
Can't do
Played
two
the
things at
original.
once. I got my girlfriend's witch's hat, and she can't multitask, and it's obviously getting into my brain. So
That
did
is
you?
that's bad. That is so
I'm not
bad.
going to answer that question.
That
I'm going to
is
go
so
listen back to
bad.
the podcast to hear me
That
talk
is so
about that.
bad. I can't believe that.
Did you play number 1 Intergard?
Have you played the first one? I haven't played the first or the second. I've only played a
Okay.
little bit of the third. But I don't know. Like for me, it's probably a good way for me to even go back to the first one. This is why they make these remakes. People like me who wouldn't go back to the enhanced edition.
True.
Rather just go, okay, I'll play the nice and shiny Unreal Engine 5 version of it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll play this. I gotta still get into Witcher 3. It still hasn't hooked me.
Would you say this is something that Swinny would play if he played the original?
Jesus Christ, Mike.
I think both of those
Jesus
things are
Christ.
true. I think, yes, he's played the first one,
Okay.
and he would play this new one.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Just asking
Like,
for a friend.
you know I would be playing this. I'm just like, oh, I'm so looking forward to this, you know. All right. That's enough about the Witcher remake, I think. But it's not the only RPG news. We have Bethesda announcing that they're bringing Fallout 4 to next gen, aka current gen consoles. And yeah, this news came out of their whole 25 year anniversary for Fallout, which I really didn't know was a thing. You know, I kind of only caught up on that when they made this announcement. Because honestly, a lot of the news that came out, like there was a lot of Fallout 76 related stuff that I'm not going to really go and read because I'm not into that game. But I did see that they showed the first official picture from the Fallout Amazon Prime series, so I did pick up on that piece of news. But that's all part of this 25th anniversary. But this next gen update will be free to existing owners of the game for, and it's coming to PS5, Xbox Series X series consoles, and PC, which is a bit of a weird thing. But look, it's more like an update as opposed to like a massive overhaul or anything like that. They're adding a bunch of new visual modes. So the game with FPS boost enabled did run at 60. It's one of those games that supported that on Xbox Series consoles. But there was a downgrade in resolution. So hopefully then, you're not going to get that downgrade anymore. But there's also a 4K mode that's who knows? That's probably going to run at 30. We know the way that works these days with that stuff. But and it will have, like they said, bug fixes. Which, as much as I love Fallout 4, that game still had lots of bugs to fix, as well as just like all their games generally do. But it's good they're at least doing some of that stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if it brings along some more bugs. Knowing Bethesda. But yeah, so I think this is interesting news as well. The fact that it's coming to PS5, and I think that's I'm really happy for PlayStation owners that they're not missing out on that, because I don't know. Look, obviously there's lots of existing arrangements from the Bethesda era before they were purchased by Microsoft, but I think a lot of people were like still surprised. I think when I was seeing the reaction to this.
So is it
My
free?
question to you, Swinny, is have you played Fallout 4?
I was about to ask that, but I was going to wait for him to say it first, and then I was going to ask.
Jesus Christ. He's making a joke. He's making a joke. Yes, I have played Fallout 4. A lot of it.
I have a question as well.
All of it.
Have you ever played Fallout 4, Swinny?
Mike, have you ever played Fallout 4? Right back
I have
there.
actually. I never finished it though, which means I might have a crack at it now, because I always enjoyed it. I love the atmosphere. I love the Fallout games from the original Fallout. I don't have many regrets in life, but I do regret not keeping the original physical copy of the original Fallout. It had such an awesome cover. Really, really cool.
The
and I
PC
have no
box
idea-
one? Are you talking
yeah,
about?
the PC box. It's one of the first proper PC games I bought.
I remember you're an OG Fallout fan.
huge
I remember
OG
you
Fallout
talking
fan,
about
yeah,
it
yeah.
when all I knew about it was screenshots in Hyper Magazine.
That's so good.
So
Man, I played the demo of it. I know I've probably mentioned this before on the podcast. I played the demo when the demo came on some PC Gamer
God damn, we're
disc or something.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
super fucking
before the
old.
game even came out, and I played the demo. Oh man, like I must have clocked the demo at least 100 times. I reckon.
yeah.
I just played it over and over and over again. It was so cool. I just loved it.
Somewhat related. There's a TV series coming out. I saw the other day on Amazon Prime for Fallout. I saw an image for it. Looks pretty cool.
hype over it,
I actually
yeah.
might watch that.
I like this
that.
running joke. I
totally want to watch it.
I can't tell when Mike is like not getting your jokes or.
You know what?
Yeah,
Can I
anyway.
just say, what possessed us to get Mike to host the show? That was our insane period.
Yeah, you guys were on drugs, not me.
Last thing about this from me is that if anyone hasn't played the DLC, because I assume it will include the DLC, right?
DLCs.
I assume it will. I don't know for certain. Let's say if you're buying it outright on PS5 and Series X, the Far Harbor and the Nuka World DLCs for Fallout 4 are absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
Especially Far Harbor, so it's a big recommendation there. So
Do we have any indication when it's coming out?
they didn't say.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I would assume it's coming. Maybe
I don't know. I'm just
late.
yeah.
Early
Later
next
this
year
year?
or late.
Oh,
this
early next year. I
I
was
don't
hoping
think it's that far away. That's
late
in
this
my head.
year.
That's my assumption. But
Okay.
I have no idea. There's no factual basis.
Question that I'm pretty sure neither of you spoke about yet. Is it free if you have the Game Pass version of the game?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's,
I wouldn't
that's
talk
fair.
about that.
Yeah.
We didn't talk.
Yeah,
I was paying
That's
attention
fair,
for once.
that's fair.
It would be
That's fair.
free in Game Pass, but
Hope
look,
so.
I don't know if this game's ever been given away on PS Plus or anything like that. Does anyone know that? Because
I think I think I have a copy of Fallout 4 from a giveaway. I'm not sure about PS Plus. Let me have a look at it.
Because I know that's not always a given. I know there's sometimes some weird stuff going on there if you've got a game from PS Plus and there's a next gen upgrade for it. So I don't want to make that assumption, but it will for sure be on Game Pass because it'll just be part of the Game Pass package. And instead of just running the Xbox One version on FPS Boost, you'll be running a native Xbox Series version. And in that regard, I don't think it will have like a new achievement list or anything like that. It'll be one of those. Whatever they call the new fandangled term they made for games, cross-gen games on Xbox. So, but yeah,
Well, actually, I think it was released as part of what was it called? Remember the PS Plus collection?
the collection. Yeah,
I think I got it through that. So I've got it on my list with PS Plus. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's upgraded.
You'd hope
I'll
they
test
do
it.
it.
I'll test
I don't
it.
know. I'm assuming that decision's made by the publisher as opposed to Sony. But I don't know.
I don't know. I think Sony gets involved in
know.
that insanity stuff, trying to nickel and dime people. like with Final Fantasy 7.
Cool. And just as a last related thing, just to confirm, anyone didn't hear the news that a new Fallout is coming, but it'll be coming after Starfield and Elder Scrolls. So Todd Howard's talked about that. So if there is a Fallout, it'll probably be 12 years away, but there will be.
Yeah, I had 11, so yeah, we're pretty much in
damn.
sync.
No, this is good news. I'm glad you can finally play Fallout 4, Swinny. It's about time.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. All right, now next story. A recent iOS update has added support for Nintendo Switch's classic controllers on Apple devices. So support for the Switch Pro controller was added, I believe, with the most recent, iOS 16. I'm not an Apple user, so I'm going to probably lean on Intergot.
I know, I'm waiting to hear why you added this as a story, but yeah, go on.
Because I think it's an interesting story. Why do we need any other reason? I've got a hidden agenda. Secretly, it's because I hate
trying to set me
iPhones.
up. That's why I'm looking at
No,
his little...
I just
Have you
like
played
the fact,
Super Nintendo?
I just like the fact that you're able to use, if you've got one of the from the Switch Online, the SNES control, the NES, the Mega Drive, or the N64 controls, that they now are natively apparently supported. I don't know what that means for every game out there or anything, but now that they're supported by Apple devices, and interesting they didn't have these patch notes in their official documentation or anything. So this was a Twitter user by the name of Stroughton Smith that actually talked about this. But then part of me made me go, well, how do we know 100% that this wasn't actually already a thing? So that's where I'm just checking with you, Intergot. They're saying this was news out there. I think it's cool, but I don't know if there was a case where this stuff would have already worked if you made a bit of your own fixes. And stuff.
Those ones wouldn't work because I think they're just not regular controllers the way that they operate. But I remember when they added the DualShock, that was really good because that means for remote play and everything like that, it's really like first class citizen. These things are cool. These controllers are like really popular, actually. Like often, with like Analog Pocket and all this other kind of stuff, I'll hear people go, "Hey, can I get those Nintendo Switch controllers working with the dock and everything like that?" But these are very specific the way that they interface. So you have to write a driver just specifically for these controllers. Like it's not a standardized type thing. So yeah, like Apple's gone to the actual effort to get them up and running, which is really interesting. Which if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, Sweeney, it's like maybe there's something more happening in this space with Nintendo and Apple. Right?
You reckon?
Well, it seems very weird that they added these controllers to me.
Well, it also,
Apple Arcade emulator.
It works on like the Apple TV stuff, and that's what that Twitter post was showing. I think to me that's like a use case that makes a lot of sense if you can get a good, emulation thing running up there and just use these devices natively on your Apple TV.
I need to give that a crack. I do have an Apple TV.
Pretty cool because then you're not figuring out, well, how does this comfortably work on a mobile device, or an iPad or whatever.
Yeah. But, I've played a lot, like, because I've got one Apple TV, mostly just Chromecast in my house. The Apple TV, like some things it drives me nuts, but other things it's like way better than the Chromecast. But I've actually played a lot of phone games through Apple TV, and it's actually surprisingly like good. Like it actually kind of shocks me. I was playing what was it called? Pac-Man 256, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was pretty cool. Like there's a few other games like that work really well. I think the only thing is like you can't have emulators that easily on iOS as opposed to Android. And, that's where, like, with Steam, it's, like, so useful, right? Because you can just play whatever and it's all linked up through. So I kind of regret not getting one of those Steam TV things. What were they called?
Steam Links.
Steam Links, yeah.
Oh, Mike's doing his things. Oh, no, he's looking around his room now. No, and that's another reason why I wanted
Wall of shit.
That's another reason why I wanted to have this as a story, because we had the Steam story where they added support there, and this is almost like the follow-up story to that now these controls are supported, in a bunch of places, so that's really cool. So.
Yeah, honestly, the one thing I will always say is like Apple and Nintendo are like the equivalents in their countries. Like I do feel like in a way Nintendo is a Japanese version of Apple, and Apple's an American version of Nintendo. Like they're very specific. They like their thing. They like to control as much of the hardware as possible. They don't like being everywhere else. I could imagine seriously one day they do something together. And I think there were discussions about they were going to do some weird thing with like a Game Boy interface to the iPhone. Like there was some patents that were released, and it seemed like Apple and Nintendo were working together. So like a physical device they would plug the iPhone into, and like you'd have like Game Boy controls, and, like the screen and everything. I think that would be really awesome.
That'd be
that kind of
interesting,
shit.
Imagine if they found a way to just get the Nintendo Switch Online apps running on iOS. Like, imagine the amount of money they would make off that. That's kind of wild.
What do you mean the Nintendo?
If they
Switch
like the
online
SNES and
apps?
NES stuff.
Oh,
if they just like
dude,
found a way to get that
that's-
stuff just natively happening.
but that's what I'm kind of like. Just like
is it
throw a little
possible that's what
thread
they're
out
trying
there.
to do? Yeah.
Because I mean, people already like dodgily, put emulators out there, right? I think Nintendo, they've got this weird thing. It's like they would never put those kind of games. Like, sorry, they would never put their first party new releases on anything else, in my opinion, right? That would be like game over for them. But the idea of putting like NES, SNES, those type of things on Apple, maybe with like Apple Arcade plus Nintendo or something, and cross promote their brand and everything like that. Like I can kind of see it, man. I can kind of see that.
Them kind of like doing it in a stealthy way with this update and not like officially
Yeah.
mentioning it.
Look at that. We're calling it out. Bigwig Pod. We're calling it out. They're going to have
We're
like...
probably the only people who's come up with this.
I
this
know.
idea.
Like, mark the day. Apple Arcade. What are you going to call it? It's going to be something dumb like Apple Arcade plus Nintendo or something like that. So, let's see.
Super Apple Arcade. There you go.
Super Apple Arcade. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I like it.
All right. Well, for the last news story, we're talking about Dark Souls, specifically Dark Souls servers. So after months of downtime, From Software finally bringing more of their Dark Souls servers back. But there's one big exception. So I'll just set the scene a little bit here. So for anyone who doesn't know, all Dark Souls PC servers were taken offline at the start of the year because of a major security exploit that basically was just, okay, they need to take them down, but then we're like, okay, well, when are they coming back? But if you remember, like January, that's the lead up into Elden Ring. So a lot of us assume that, well, they've taken it down, but their priority and their focus is all on getting Elden Ring launched and stable and everything like that. So skip forward to August, and finally Dark Souls 3 servers were brought back. So that's like half a year later, which is nuts, because PvP is a huge part of why that community thrives and continues to thrive on in those games. And then this week, they've announced a few more. Or one more is back online, but they gave us an update on the others. So Dark Souls 2 Scholar of First Sin servers are back. But the base Dark Souls 2, which is actually quite a different game in a lot of ways, that's being worked on still. So that'll be brought back online at a later date. And then we get to Dark Souls 1. So Dark Souls Remastered is currently in works to bring that back. But then they announced that the original PC version, which was dubbed the Prepare to Die edition because it came with the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, is not coming back online, ever, according to them. So, there's been a lot of outcry about this, but, From Software seem pretty stubborn a lot of the times around this stuff. But their quote is, "We have determined that we will not be able to support online services for the PC version of Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition that was released in 2012 due to an aging system. We apologize for the long wait and ask for your understanding in this matter." So for anyone that doesn't really understand the difference between Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition and Remastered is actually a very different game in a lot of ways. Like, you can't transfer your saves or anything between the original PC version and that. But also, all of the Dark Souls PC games use dedicated servers except that first one. That uses peer-to-peer. So it is a different system, which on surface level you can go, okay, well, that makes sense why it's different and it's an aging system. But if you own Dark Souls 1 Prepare to Die edition, it's not like you get a free upgrade to the Remastered. If you currently want to actually move on because, the servers aren't coming back, you have to buy it outright. Like, they don't offer a discount anymore. They used to when the remaster version first launched, but no longer. So you have to buy that game outright, wait for a special or whatever. So I wanted to cover this a bit more than the regular chuck it in sizzle, because I wanted to give a bit more context. But also I know there's some very disappointed people around this.
Yeah, just to be clear though, I think when they released the remastered version, I don't believe they offered a discount initially, and people were losing their shit about it because people were really upset about it.
That's what I'd read, so I'm happy to be wrong on that. But
I might double check that while we're chatting.
Yeah, a lot of the additional information is okay. What are people on Reddit saying about this stuff? So
yeah,
fact checking that is probably a good idea.
It's quite yeah, exactly. But I'm very conflicted on it. Like it, I don't know. I was even seeing someone saying, "Oh, you know, you can still play Quake 3 Arena, right?" And there's still matches going on with that game, right? It's just, man, like From in general with PC, I'm very hesitant to buy any of their games on PC. It feels like it's just such a second class citizen. Like even Elden Ring was like ridiculous on PC, where people were having like, you know, they've got, you know, top end machines and they're getting hitching all the time in Elden Ring, or like months after the game was out. They're still getting it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if they've completely resolved that either.
To be honest, I don't know either, right? So I've always been like, okay, well, Elden Ring, just quickly, it was like so bad that Valve released a patch for Elden Ring on the Steam Deck to optimize it so that it doesn't hitch. Almost the best version to play is the Steam Deck version because it doesn't hitch as much, right? It still runs at 60. But I don't know, just because of that, I'm just so anti them when it comes to PC, and I'd be so hesitant, and it's such a shit thing. And I hate this statement. I get like, you're like, oh, Swinny, you're tasked with putting a message out there where we couldn't be fucked to doing. Dude, this is going to cost us too much money, and these losers are still playing this old ass game. But it's such a seminal game though. I don't know. Look, I don't know. You know, I don't normally say these kind of things, but I almost feel they need to have something where it's like, you know, working backwards from when they announced that thing. If you've logged in and played this game in the last like 3 years, we give you a free copy of like Dark Souls Remastered, at least. Like, I think if they I don't know if they can do that, but if they could do something like that, then it's like, okay, like I feel like you can't really say much.
Yeah, this Dark Souls, the first, you know, Prepare to Die edition, has been on a bit of a journey on PC because I was one of the horse sods that bought that game on launch on PC. That was originally...
Did you buy it on PC?
I bought
at
it.
Launch? Wow.
And when that thing launched, it was a Games for Windows Live game. And oh my God, like talk about bad platforms, gaming like systems and stuff. Games for Windows Live was an absolute shit show. And I remember, you know, everyone's like, why the hell is this game capped at 30 on PC when, you know, you've got these, you know, a PC that could easily run this game, probably unlocked frame rates and stuff. And then it took that DS fix from, I can't remember the name of the person that did DS fix, they're famous, and it's like just one change in the bloody INI file or whatever to uncap it. It did mess up the jumping frames and stuff, so you had to kind of like switch it back to 30 and stuff. So it's been on a journey, this game. They migrated across to Steam, but look, I think it absolutely sucks, and I don't know how much effort's involved to get it back up and running and all the ongoing costs of maintaining something when it's peer-to-peer and stuff. But it does feel like there's still people that play the original version because there's certain mods that only work on that version. And that means that suddenly you can no longer do any of the online stuff with that, which I think is a bit shitty. But look, at least there's a version of Dark Souls 1 you can play. You've just got to shell out more money. But so I think I 100% agree. I think they need to do something, or they need to put Dark Souls Remastered on like a 50% discount for people, something when they to make up for it, I think. So it's not back online yet, to be clear, Dark Souls Remastered, but maybe when they bring that service back online.
Yeah, if they do as well, right? Because there's no guarantee there.
Well, so. they've said that they're working on that one, so they did give it at least an update. But I think when that's back online, like, just thank the community for being loyal to you and maybe give it a discount. So
I'll correct myself in the moment. So they did offer a discount if you bought Prepare to Die edition for Dark Souls Remastered. But it's funny because even with the Steam reviews, people were still pissed about that, right? That it wasn't free. Which I can't, like, the thing is, PC mentality is totally different because it's like, there shouldn't be a remastered version with PC. It's just like, my PC gets better and then the game looks better because I have better settings, right? So I think it's that kind of mentality more than anything. Because it seems like it's a totally different game, fundamentally. Like the code base and everything.
I mean, they made some adjustments that people weren't a fan of as well. You know, like things like the bonfire fire, which sounds trivial, but when you the change they made,
I've seen that. Yeah.
It looked shit compared to what the original was, and the lighting, people weren't a fan of the lighting changes and stuff. But look, yeah, I'm glad they're bringing more of them back, because to just leave them all offline would have sucked. But it's taken so long.
I was saying about this before when, like, you know, Elden Ring was out. I'm like, dude, it's still like, it's like 100 days. And now, like, yeah, they've blown past that. It's been outrageous how long it's been offline.
Any other last thoughts on that, or are we ready to jump into Big Sizzler?
Just my one question is, have you played Dark Souls, Swinny? Dark Souls Part 1?
I've dabbled in it.
You dabbled?
I've dabbled.
Okay.
Only 10, 12 playthroughs so far. So.
Very good, very good.
Cool. So we are going to wrap up the week's headlines with talking about any of the rest of the stuff that that caught our eye, but we're too lazy to do a full segment on. So, hey guys, anything that you want to talk about out of the list here?
Into God?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look where my stuff is. Oh yeah, the DualSense Edge. Sorry, I send. You probably just need the Intergod section. Okay, so like the DualSense Edge finally got the price revealed for Australia, so I was super interested to see what would happen. It was $199 USD, so I just felt it was going to be $350 Australian. It actually came in at very sharp and unusual pricing of $339 Australian. So if you do the conversion and then the GST, it's actually under what the US amount is.
That's fascinating.
And I do kind of wonder if it's a little bit, because PlayStation Australia sets the price, like RRP, and they've all followed it. Like Amazon, JB, they haven't broke rank. I do wonder if they were like 350 like it's almost like we can't say 350. Like how can we do anything to just say someone can't say 350?
That's exactly what I was thinking. They're just probably like, this is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Like this much for an official control, and not some like third party thing that you have to build by hand and stuff. I reckon
so
that's what
I
happened.
did not pre-order it. I have to say 250, because I remember when you guys got the Elite controllers and they're like 250 Australian ish or something like that, right? When
So
they
much
came
was
out.
at launch, yeah.
And I was like, I was like thinking, you guys are nuts. Like I know you guys love gaming, but 250, that's freaking insane, right? So 339 is just it's so
Too much,
outrageous.
yeah.
It's
Even-
like you have to be stupid with money. Sorry, you're getting like
Absolutely.
for two
I
back
was single
buttons.
and I was stupid with money. But even 250 I think is a hell of a lot for a controller.
No, I agree,
But if you
agree.
happen to use it a lot and it's a premium product, it feels good and it gives you extra benefits and stuff. If you game a lot, I can kind of get it. But if it ends up being a product that gets drift and half the shit doesn't work and it's not as premium as it's supposed to be, then it's just a joke.
Yeah.
So I hope at least for $339, this bloody thing better be rock solid. And I mean rock solid.
Mike, you can always buy those replacement stick modules for, what is it? We confirmed the price for that, didn't we?
$34 Australian.
$34 each.
I think it's.
So,
I think
It's not too
it
bad.
reminds. I mean, this is like a small tangent, but it reminds me of a toothbrush that I saw at Priceline for $30, but it's a manual toothbrush. It's just a manual toothbrush.
$30.
Yeah, $30 for a manual toothbrush.
is it made out of gold?
No, it's like it's
also a
metal of
dildo
some
or something?
sort. And you can get you take the tip off when it runs out, and you just put a new tip on. But the
How much
tips are
is
like $15 or some shit.
It's like it's
And-
the whole like replaceable razor head,
It's
like,
exactly
strategy.
that. It is exactly that. Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing where I'm like, okay, why don't you just make a product that doesn't require a $40 replacement, because it's already a $340 product. I don't expect to have to pay another 40 fucking bucks because your stick is shit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I think it's a bit crazy. But people will buy it. People buy it. People bought the Elite controller. People will buy this. So
Yeah, toothbrushes and game controllers.
Well, people
Same
buy
people.
it, but it
I'll link you guys to it after.
it hasn't run out of its.
And maybe I bought it too.
It hasn't run out of its pre-order, so I don't know if people are really going too hard at buying it. So
Probably not, because I mean, I think it's too much for
yeah,
for-
I've passed on it. I passed on it officially, and I actually just hope that they will backtrack and allow DualShock 4 to be available on the PlayStation 5, because you can't use it for PS5.
Yeah, that would be cool. I
Because
still have
then I'll use the
DualShock.
back button attachment that I
Yeah.
already have, right? So I'm going
Exactly.
claw
Well,
grip.
assuming they support that part, which
I'm
they
all-
should, right?
I'm all claw grip, baby. So this is how
Yeah.
I'm going to play my Souls-like games. Like this, like a monkey.
All right. One from me is the BioWare gave an update about Dragon Age Dreadwolf, aka Dragon Age 4. The fact that it's basically completed its alpha stage of development and is playable from beginning to end, just in a basic state. So that's really good progress for a game that we just haven't heard that much about how it's been tracking outside of some dev blogs and lots of concept art and things like that. So really, really happy that we're finally getting a bit more of an update on that. I'm super looking forward to that. I really hope they take some ideas of what they did. So with Mass Effect Andromeda, for all the faults that Andromeda has and the hate, they brought more of the RPG systems back. So what I kind of hope they do with Dreadwolf is they kind of do the same thing where they move on from Inquisition and maybe add some bit more of the RPG back in. So I hope they do that. But regardless, I've loved all the Dragon Age games, even number 2. So yeah.
I hope they. I mean, I know it's something that Mass Effect did as well. They're not open world games. They're contained games within certain maps.
Open areas.
Area kind of game. Yeah. Although I always kind of felt like there's one game that might benefit maybe from a more proper open approach. I would have enjoyed it more potentially. It did feel a little corridory, which I think put me off. It certainly put me off number 2.
No, yeah, number 2 is really bad for that because we talk about Thymesia. There was elements of Thymesia reminding me of Dragon Age 2 where they replay the same area, but then they have like different things locked off, so it feels like a different level layout. Dragon Age 2 was notorious for that. Yeah, 100%. So.
And it just puts you off. It personally put me off the game quite a lot. And it's a shame because it's a great story, great characters and everything. So, the one that I found interesting is that the Callisto Protocol has been cancelled in Japan due to the game not being eligible for a rating without cuts. So they're like, we're not going to bend over backwards. We're not changing the game. This is the game that we want to make.
Well,
Your market is probably not big enough for this game to give a shit. Or how did they? Did they do their maths? Or what? I don't.
No, but I don't think it was. Don't think it was that. I think they were saying to do the cuts, it wasn't going to be worth it. That's what they said.
Right. So it was more economically not worth it.
I think it would have been too extensive.
Number of sales we're going to make, too extensive.
So there might be something core to the game that they needed to change.
Had principles. Okay. Yeah, like all the dismemberment.
Yeah, like
they said something about diegetic element that they needed to remove.
Maybe they don't like the diegetics.
What?
Yeah.
Mike, can you explain what diegetic means for? That's a new word to me.
Yeah, so Japan have a weird law that I think originated in like 1963 or something, around the 1960s.
I think that's 62, 63, yeah.
Yeah, where basically they don't like people that have dual genetics. Yeah. Hence diegetics, meaning two, getics meaning genetics.
Like dioxide.
Like dioxide, exactly the same thing. Yeah. And it is actually related to dioxide. So basically it's a certain gene that when triggered by particular scenes you see on a screen, and it tends to happen a lot with scary things, like scary movies,
100%.
scary just about anything. It can trigger this diegetic gene.
So this.
And it causes a lot of issues in people.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's basically what it is.
Now I understand what diegetic means.
That is the correct
explanation.
Yeah, some of the previews have shown, even I think there was a Summer Games Fest or Game Awards, one of the Jeff Keighley shows where they showed like gameplay footage and they showed really gory stuff. I'm not surprised the game didn't meet the censor requirements in Japan. Like it's all rating requirements.
Really?
It's very that game is.
I mean, I guess Japan. But
Japan's very specific as well, Mike.
It's a very interesting culture, yeah.
They actually had to change
allowed, what isn't.
They had to change Silent Hill, like the OG PS1 Silent Hill game. Like the uncensored version, I believe, is the US version, not the Japanese version.
But I find that more impactful because Silent Hill feels more nightmarish.
Anyway, I've started him. Oh shit.
Well, you go, Swinny.
I just want to mention. It's not related to Silent Hill, but I actually saw a clip. Like it was a short on YouTube, and I never realized this. The Japanese version of Super Mario Kart, right, and the version we got was censored on the finish poll. Like the Peach and Bowser, I'll have to send you a clip of it. They actually drink the champagne and get drunk.
Oh yeah,
on the podium in the Japanese version. Yeah, I knew that. Whereas, and I'm like, wow, there's just these random things you just don't know they change in.
But that's what I mean, the consistency of what is and what isn't. I mean, I know that we've spoken about this before. Everyone in Australia is not particularly consistent about what is allowed and what isn't allowed.
Oh, we look at the version we got of Left 4 Dead 2.
Oh, we're
That
like
kind of
the
stuff.
worst.
Exactly. That was
We're like the
ridiculous. Oh my god.
Us in Germany, like, really bad
Yeah.
at this stuff.
Well, Germany, you can kind of at least
but
understand,
Germany,
right?
dude, I lived in Germany when I was a kid, and they let me go into like one of those peep show things with my uncle when I was like freaking
That's
6 years
true.
old.
That's true.
It's like they didn't give a shit about any of that stuff. Yet, oh no, we cannot have this particular thing on. You cannot watch this game because it is very bad for you. Like, what the hell? They literally let a freaking kid into this thing. It makes no sense. It's just.
Yeah, there we go. Peaches
Oh,
down.
it looks kind of bad as well. Like
the Bowser
to be
one.
censored for other reasons.
The Bowser one's better because it actually looks like he's actually.
Actually,
drunk,
can I say,
wow.
I always thought that looks mad. I always thought the animation of them throwing it up always looked weird. Like genuinely, I always thought that looked really weird with Peach.
And that looks super weird now. You know, it's meant to be like a drinking thing.
Yeah,
It's just too
yeah.
crazy
Now that
animation.
makes sense.
There you go. My childhood makes sense now.
Somehow we got from
Wow.
Callisto Protocol to Super Mario Kart in a very seamless way. That's interesting.
And Germans.
Next,
I don't know.
you got a couple of stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah, quickly, I'll reel off the quick one. So Splatoon 3 got an update, like version 1.2, and they're like, oh, it's going to fix, some of the online things, tick rate, blah, blah, blah. First game I tried to get into, communication error. I just actually just laughed. I was like, okay, cool. I also thought it was interesting, the guys that founded Rocksteady. So, the Arkham series, Batman, and soon Suicide Squad game, Kill the Justice League, are leaving the studio. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of interesting, man. What a weird time to leave before, and the PR frames it, and I would write the same thing. They've finished the game effectively. They're just in the home stretch. These guys are going to stretch their feet at the end of 2022, but that's bullshit. No one leaves when, you're about to fucking do the celebration lap of a game that, could get a 95 or something. So number one, it makes me nervous about Suicide Squad. And yeah, I also just think it's really weird.
Rocksteady, they owned by WB Games.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been so much talk in the past 18 months about are they or aren't they selling off potential things. So that's interesting to see whether or not there's anything to do with Rocksteady around that. So
Yeah, maybe they've been dicked around a lot and they it's a bit annoying. And also they haven't been able to do their own IP. So they've always have to work in this license world. So it's pretty hard to build something big from that, right? So, but yeah, I'm really excited about Suicide Squad. So that weirdly, it's coming early next year. So I think that's got the potential.
Really,
to be
early next year. Sheesh, that's quicker
Yeah.
than I thought. I thought it was still ages away.
Let me just double check it, but I'm 95% sure. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. But yeah, I still think it's really weird for the guys to leave at this point. I don't think it's a good sign, but yeah, we'll see. And the other small one before we finish off, or if you have anything else, Swinny, Kojima just
Only Swinny? What about me?
or you. Well, I gave you time before and you said nothing. Is that Kojima is saying that one of his next games is going to sort of change the medium, and I don't know if you saw all the extended quotes around that, Swinny.
Oh, that's
Or
what that
Mike?
meant, a new medium. I thought it was the medium, the game that used to be on game.
No, probably not.
Legit, I'm like, huh?
I can just.
What does that mean?
As soon as Mike starts to go into one of those jokes,
It wasn't a
I
joke.
shut
No,
down.
that wasn't a
I shut
joke.
down.
That
wasn't
wasn't
a
a
joke.
joke.
That
That was a
wasn't a joke.
legit thing. I'm like,
wasn't a
like
joke.
a new
Serious? Yeah,
medium.
serious? Serious? That wasn't
Like
a
a
dad
new
joke?
medium. That wasn't a joke. That wasn't supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
In what
I'll
world
tell
does
people it's a
Kojima
joke,
look
wasn't.
into the medium for fucking...
I don't know. Maybe he's doing
Inspiration.
like a freaking. I don't know. That's why I was confused.
So they're saying Q1, Q3, Q1, Q2, 23 for Suicide Squad. But I'm sure I saw
okay.
something the other time that it still says early 2023. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Mike.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, but we didn't really say about the Kojima thing because it was just Mike's non-joke.
Yeah.
Because he was sort of saying it's going to bridge movies and gaming and I don't know. He's just such a weird cat. I did think I want to go back to Death Stranding, but I don't know. It's just that's why I kind of love him because he does shit that's bizarre. I know it's overplayed,
Cool.
but Metal Gear Solid, using the second controller, doing all this weird shit.
Maybe something that
thinks
thinks
out
out
of
of
the
real
box.
world,
Man.
an AR thing where
Yeah.
you actually have to do shit in the real
I've-
world to.
I've got a hot take.
Yeah,
After
go.
watching another another Let's Play of Metal Gear Solid 3 recently.
As you do.
I think I watch Let's Plays all the time, but I played Metal Gear Solid 3. I played through that game countless times, and like after seeing the shit that's done in that game, well after he's worked through like those infamous things, and as you said, the controller stuff, Psycho Mantis. Metal Gear Solid 3 might be, in my opinion, probably the best video game ever made. Not my favorite, but that's what I'm saying. It's a hot take.
Whoa.
After watching what they did in that game,
Hot take.
so I have so much
remember.
respect for Kojima, and I'm looking forward to actually getting into Death Stranding. Thanks, Mike, for buying that for me on PC.
Yeah, Deathloop as well. Look at that.
Because it's just like, man, the stuff that he does, it's just crazy. So
Yeah. I really like him. Like, obviously everyone likes him, but pushing the boundaries is the coolest part. Gaming can get a bit stale.
I do it all the time, but not again.
You do. But yeah, do you guys have anything else before the last
I do
one?
indeed
Oh,
have
yeah,
something else, which is
all
that
right,
Sega...
Mike, we're moving on.
Oh, boo, boo.
Yes, Mike.
That Sega is aiming to create a, quote, super game by the fiscal year ending in March 2026.
You would pick up on this story.
Well, what the hell does super... let's speculate. What is a super game?
Did you read the article?
No. What article?
There's more context to it, but I just actually put it in there because I'm like, I reckon Mike is going to mention what is a super
Damn right I will. What is a super game? I took your bait.
Basically,
You knew exactly what I would do.
they when they say super game, it's just weird wording for them basically wanting to create like a massive release, right? That's what they're calling super game. One that's like revolutionary and attracts more active users than what their current IPs do. So
Okay.
drawing
Like a
like a
Destiny
big,
kind of-
a big mainstream title is what they're trying to get at.
Okay.
But there's more stuff around that.
Oh, because I'm just reading the article now, and they're talking about they want to use multiple IPs. So it's almost like Fortnite / Roblox / Smash Brothers. And that's what they're saying the super game is. But
Yeah.
Okay.
multiverses, like there's another mashup. Fuck, are we gonna get just every studio doing these mashup games
And remakes.
Well, remakes are already here. Like that's not even new.
But it's more frequent, I feel now. And I have nothing against a lot of them, to be fair. So
could you imagine what's his name, Jim Ryan, maybe from PlayStation? He's like sitting down, going, "All right, boys, what kind of mashup game are we gonna do?" Because they had that shitty platform fighter PlayStation All Stars, right? So
Some people liked it. I think it's a bit weird called shitty. It's just
Wow.
It wasn't.
I haven't seen a local for PlayStation
no,
All
but
Stars
no.
say.
Yeah.
I'll stand by what I said, but
I can imagine non-gaming people sitting in a boardroom with a whiteboard going,
Like, what can we
okay, what can we do for this? It's going to make, what are big IPs that are going to make us the most amount of money and
Well,
the
talking
greatest
about-
shareholder?
Talking about money,
Whoa,
we mentioned it
hey.
earlier. I think we can't. We have to talk about the Bayonetta thing then.
And the fact that I don't have
are you going to say that I was
$45
right, Sweeney?
Yeah, like
Oh, okay.
yeah, like I didn't take a view on it last week because I knew there was more. I was waiting for more info, and man, this
Transformers,
Helena
more than
Taylor, the
what's
old Bayonetta voice actress, man, she's really fucking. She's in shit now. No one believes her. Fucking what a travesty.
What an anime character arc over 2 weeks.
Jesus. And it happened like that news came out just before like Bayonetta 3's like a couple of days before it was coming out, and I think it's just like sealed the deal. Everyone's like, nah, fuck her.
But wait, we're gonna
seriously.
explain some stuff, right? So even like last week, it was still kind of not 100% confirmed, but at that point, she had said she was only offered 4,000. She'd gone back and asked, and she was offered 4,000. Right? That's how she said it. And I actually didn't watch all of her videos because she had quite a few. I watched some of them, and I'm like, it was kind of bullshit. Like how she was going about what's the other lady's name? Jennifer Hale, Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, she goes, and she is not Bayonetta. I made that character. That's not. I am Bayonetta. And I was like, well, this lady's a psycho, right? When I rewatched the videos, so that like we sort of knew that part, and then mostly Jason Schreier's article, then which got backed up by other sources that said no, she was offered, like over 10 grand, like multiple sessions. She turned it down. She wanted a lot more money, and then they just said fuck it, we'll go with someone else, and then do a cameo with her, right? And now she comes out this week, Mike, going, well, everyone's attacking me, and these journalists are coming after me, and yes, it's true. I was offered 10 14,000 or something. I think she said, or 10,000 or whatever. I'm like, lady,
But
you have like
declined it and then got offered for 4,000 for a cameo.
Yeah. She did,
yeah.
but see the thing is she didn't actually verify parts of the reporting as well, because they said she had asked for 6 figures, right? With her like reply. So she didn't say if that was true or not, but she didn't say it was a lie, that part, right? So it seems like it was true. And then she's coming back and she goes, it wasn't a lie. It's like, yeah, of course it's a lie. It's a lie by omission. Of course it's a fucking
I'd
lie.
say it is, yeah. If you're kind of
big
omitting
omission
the
there,
first
lady.
part of the entire thing. Yeah.
And then it gets even better because she then is like still asking people to boycott it, and they go, instead of using the money for that, you should use your money for pro-life campaigns.
Wait, really?
Last week I didn't
Okay, wow.
bring it up, but this week I'm happy to
You have
say
to
that
now. that she
I'm
said
happy to say
yeah.
that she seems like an absolutely miserable human being in many ways. But look, I do try to separate that kind of stuff away from this. But man, like, yeah,
It's
Yeah,
right.
you stay away from that shit normally.
honestly, I'd be like, bloody get Jennifer Hale to re-record the freaking Bayonetta 1 Bayonetta 2.
Oh, whoa,
Wipe her off
whoa.
the face of the bloody...
Oh, jeez.
And now, yeah, she's just trying to
But
like.
you gotta.
She's just like now, punching at the fucking wind. She doesn't know what to do, man. It's like,
So this is to me. This goes back to the whole, trying to separate the artist from the art, and it's a classic example where it's not going to put me off playing Bayonetta. I will still appreciate it. I'll still appreciate the voice for what it is. I will still listen to Yee's music, even though
Well, you
was like
are
Yee's
Kanye,
music.
so I'd hope
that.
you listen. Just remember, Mike,
white
the
version.
biggest regret you'll have in... Sorry. Just remember, Yee, the biggest regret
Yes.
in life you'll have is you'll never be able to see yourself perform on stage. So.
Damn.
isn't it Ye, by the way?
Oh,
Yay.
whatever.
I don't like
Whatever.
saying his name like
Yeezy.
that. I just call him
Yeah.
fucking Kanye.
I say
Yee.
Yeezy because it's Yeezy. I don't care.
But Yeezy's a brand.
Kanye.
It's not his
Kanye.
name.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so it's the same as I can still appreciate Shaquille O'Neal, watching him in basketball and appreciating what he does, even though I fucking hate him for all the sports bet ads that he does with a passion. And likewise, Samuel L. Jackson, I can still appreciate his movies and him as an actor and enjoy those films, and I'm probably not going to boycott him, even though I'm like, I'm a man of principle, so I
Why
probably
are you
should,
boycotting
but I
Samuel L.
don't.
Jackson? Sorry.
Because he did the Bet365 ads for a while.
I think that was another guy. I think
And
that was,
no, it was him. It was him. And I'm like, I fucking hate gambling with a passion.
We
So,
need
But
to
you haven't
somehow
called out any
find-
white guys who've done gambling ads, which are a lot. So
yeah, that's a
We
good
need,
point.
Stop
we need
balancing it
to...
up
No,
yeah, I
what's
know.
his name? What's his
Yeah,
name?
yeah, yeah.
What's his name? Thingo. What's his name? The medic, not medic. What's his
Sinking deep.
Matt
Sinking.
Wahlberg?
This
Mark
is like
Wahlberg.
the
Mark
racist.
Wahlberg.
This is like the
Didn't he do
racist
it?
clock.
Didn't
You
Mark
have 10
Wahlberg
seconds to
do
not be a confirmed racist.
Mark Wahlberg's betting ads. Mark Wahlberg.
Put the Metroid countdown.
betting ad.
Oh,
He did.
man.
Mark Wahlberg. He did Ladbrokes, the motherfucker. So there you go.
Oh,
there
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Although
We need to-
isn't
You didn't
Mark
lead with
Wahlberg
him though.
part-
You didn't. Let's be real. You didn't lead with him.
Well,
and he was quite
I didn't
egregious.
listen. I didn't hear those ads as much. Whereas I heard the freaking Shaq one. It's on at the moment.
Or is it
and
more
pisses
like
me
that's
off.
more offensive to you? But anyway, go on.
No, it's just I'm not offended, but I hate gambling ads with a passion, man.
Yeah.
And there is-
I
there
think
are
it's like
control
I think
in
it's,
Australia.
I think it's
It's
like
like some
cigarette
nameless
ads.
white
It's like
person.
cigarette ads. Like you go back
Same
and watch
thing,
the
yeah.
80s and you go, whoa, they were
Yeah.
advertising cigarettes
They
like
will.
on TV.
They'll go back
They'll
and
ban
go,
it,
what
man.
the fuck were we thinking? They'll
Yeah,
ban it
yeah,
for
sure. For
It's
sure.
the dumbest thing, man. And now Melbourne Cup's coming. Can I just have a really quick gripe about it? All of freaking the river, the Maribyrnong River got flooded. My theory and other people's theories is because of the shit that they did to protect the race
The Melbourne
course.
Cup is a big horse race
It's a
festival.
big
For
horse race.
Anyone that's not
Globally,
Australian.
it's not.
we
It's a
have-
globally big horse race.
we
It's
have-
global, man.
Yeah, but a lot of people's not going to know what
It's
it is.
huge.
We actually get a public holiday in at least in Victoria.
We get
It
a
was
public
only in
holiday
Melbourne, and
to
now it's all of
gamble and
Victoria.
watch horses
Yeah.
running around in circles. It makes no fucking sense at all, man. I
right,
just don't
anyway.
get it.
I just want to
don't
give some
get it. I'm
context. People are like, what
so-
the fuck is a Melbourne Cup? Is
Yeah,
it-
That's what a
Exactly,
Melbourne
yeah,
Cup
that's
is.
fair.
Anyway.
So
Yes,
yeah,
Mike.
this lady is like totally wrecked herself. And I
So,
have
yeah.
to say, I've
yeah, back
been
to
playing
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta. So I
Yeah,
played
back to
Bayonetta
Bayonetta.
1, a bit of it, and then played Bayonetta 3. If this whole thing didn't blow up, I reckon, honestly, I wouldn't have even known that there's a different voice.
Wow.
But I do think
Wow, racist.
Helena.
What, all white women sound the same to you?
I better not do that.
Is that it?
No. Wait, let me speak.
Okay.
You racist.
Okay.
You confirmed racist.
Okay, jeez. Tell me then. Tell me.
That's the episode title. Confirmed racist.
I mean, Jennifer Hale's not British, so that kind of makes sense, I think. Then, so
Which is weird
get a
because
more
like
authentic
Helena
accent.
Yeah, she
Taylor
sounds totally
doesn't.
different though.
Oh yeah.
Wait, but she's putting on a British accent?
Oh, just let me speak, man. Let
But
me.
that is
speak.
racist, putting on a British accent if you're not actually British, right?
Well, you don't know her race.
That's racist.
That's
Well,
racist.
he just said she's not. He said she's American.
All
Well,
right.
no,
yes.
but he could be English background. Yeah.
Well, okay, so what?
So if
I'm
you have
like,
a French
my
background, you can
is
speak French. Yeah, with this
I
French
have no
accent.
issue with
okay.
a US person
look up my
doing
heritage.
an
US person.
Australian
What?
Hang on.
or English.
A US being.
Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? If all of us originally came from Africa, as
Right.
it goes,
Mike,
where do you draw the line of what you're allowed to do?
Can we call this the racist
gotta-
line?
Shut
You
it.
got to draw the line somewhere. You got to
All
draw
right,
the
can
line
you mute
somewhere,
Mike?
and I
Can
feel
you
like
mute Mike?
American
I can't
British,
have it all
it doesn't work.
All right. So what the thing I was trying to say though is, if people didn't shout it out, I wouldn't have paid attention and known. Like now that I do know that there's a new person, you can clearly hear the difference. And
Really?
what's her name? Helena Taylor is much better. Like as
Oh.
Bayonetta, much better.
Oh,
much
bring
better.
it back.
Yeah,
should
bring
start
it
a
back. Can I
GoFundMe
get a
group.
DLC? Can I get it?
Can we get a DLC that overwrites everything? Hey, why does someone should make a patch using that AI generated voiceovers, get the entire script, and then add it back?
Yeah, and then have it on Kickstarter that we're raising funds for destroying Planned Parenthood.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we're not paying her for it. We're just going to use an AI generated voice.
So look, I think she was a better performance, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying a little bit, that does it really matter? Because I would not have known. There's no way I would have known.
That's because you're racist.
Racist against white people. That's what is this
Yeah.
your argument versus
Pretty
you
much. You think
calling out
Americans
multiple black
and British
men,
people sound the same
multiple black
just 'cause
men
they're
in
all
this
white?
episode that you dislike.
Okay.
All right, you're
All right.
hosting the show. This is your show, Swinny.
This
That's
is your
not- that's
fault,
okay.
Swinny. This is your fault.
That's all I wanted to cover in the leftover headlines. So I think it's time to wrap up the show then.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
And I just now need to admit that the entire show, for anyone that's listening to audio, I've been attempting to keep this pumpkin in the middle of my horns the entire show, so it looks
burning
like
her.
the eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. So I just wanted to admit
It is
that.
very cool.
2 hours
Very
I've been
cool.
attempting to center it.
It's got
it's
an
been-
arrow as well from the
I
Assassin's
know.
Creed hat.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I put the devil horns and the Assassin's Creed hat.
I've been watching it more just to go, how long would I wait to tell you that your cabinet's on
Yeah.
fire? It wouldn't be
Next to-
instant, but it would be pretty quick, I'll
yeah.
tell you.
Oh, would it?
No, all my 15 years worth of hyper magazines. that
Yeah,
are
but it's
piled
more
up.
the amiibo, the precious amiibo that are next
That's
to it.
the reason why you would
Yeah.
say something.
Hey,
Yeah.
when I went to PAX, there was someone that had was selling all the retro hyper copies, hyper magazine copies.
How much
And I'm
for?
like-
How much
Yeah.
for?
I'm like, I felt
much
like going
fun?
to them and go, "Hey, can I sell you a bunch?"
I
No, I didn't
You
think
would've
it. I
sold
didn't-
his.
Man,
also.
they might be worth something.
How much
one
were they
day.
selling
I
for,
wouldn't-
Swin?
Yeah, how much?
I
were they?
didn't look. I didn't look
Because I've got
so-
most of them, so...
Yeah, I should have.
Wow.
I should have taken note of who it was at least, and then
That would have been
contacted
sick.
them, but-
You're
I've
very
got the Game
antisocial.
Informer ones, and I kept them because I love the
Game
artwork. They had-
Informer, they're worth nothing.
I know, but the actual artwork was really cool on the cover because it was like a full double cover artwork.
I've got
Really cool.
Nintendo magazine system.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's
NMS.
all. People don't even
Damn,
know that
that's
shit in
Oh
Australia.
man,
Wow.
NMS.
NMS.
I got.
Just
I
rolls
got
off the
Unbiased,
tongue.
completely unbiased
NMS.
publication.
totally
Yeah,
unbiased.
I know. How dodgy is that, by the way, Mike? That Nintendo, like, made Nintendo Power in the States and then Nintendo Magazine System in Australia, would review Nintendo games and would not make it clear, like explicitly clear, it's Nintendo that are behind the publication. Right? So people are buying this. I would buy it for like reviews of stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. This is a good
Totally
game.
not biased.
And then it's just lucky
Wow.
that Nintendo games are pretty good as a whole.
Dang.
Like Super Mario Brothers 3 is going to be an awesome game. I'm like, all right, I'm in.
It's not suspicious at all. So.
No, it's not suspicious at all. Well,
Alright, well,
Collection of
what's mine
punch
doing?
card
Uh-oh.
lovers. No, so
Uh-oh.
I've got a collection of Punch Card Lovers Anonymous from like the 60s.
What the? I don't know what that is. Mike.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys don't know about Punch Card Lovers?
If
No,
that makes
we just
me
said we don't
an
know.
idiot, then
Right, okay,
so
let
be
me
it.
let
I
me
don't
explain
know what
that
it
to you. Right, so
I
well
shall be an
before
idiot.
you guys had Super Nintendo and Hyper and all those fancy, people had big computers that took out the entire size,
yeah, I know what
size
punch-
of their house.
People
Mike, I
didn't
know
have
what
them.
punch cards are, but I didn't know.
Well, they used to release magazines about
okay,
that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
What
all
was
you
it
need to say.
called? What was it called?
Punch Card Lovers Anonymous.
There's like nothing. I'm like Googling this.
Yeah, I
shit.
know, because I made it up.
Yeah,
Obviously.
exactly.
like you're gonna get
you
like
Who the
a-
fuck would have that?
You caught.
Jesus fucking
What a
Christ,
dumb
Mike.
joke.
Jesus
What a dumbass
Hey, he
joke.
fell for it.
He didn't fall for it. He goes, I don't know what it is because it
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm like, I
exist
have
and it's
no
not
idea.
funny.
Anyway, what are we talking about next week? We got anything planned for next week? Anything you guys that's coming out that you might want to try out? What's the deal?
I'm checking what Open
coming
Critic
out of
is
the-
saying.
I
next
wouldn't
week's
mind trying out Star Ocean: The Divine Force, the new Star Ocean game. The only thing is, due to the nature of those games, I kind of want to. They have a lot of missable stuff and lots of stuff that require multiple playthroughs. So part of me is like, I might just wait a bit because it also hasn't got stellar reviews, but I think I'd enjoy it. But I'm like, the longer I wait, the more it'll drop in price as well. So I don't know. I'll see what I feel like. I need to get onto some PlayStation games to catch up to my resolution. So maybe I'll play some PlayStation games.
There's no major releases next week, but I mean Ragnarok's the week after, so I'm gonna try to bang out Bayonetta. And then get on to Ragnarok. Sonic Frontiers is coming out the day before Ragnarok. And very disappointingly, Skull and Bones has got pushed back. That was going to hurt a lot of the Ragnarok sales.
And we had
that
it
being
all-
a paid game, you have to pay money to play Skull and Bones.
Oh, it's
not-
paid. Is it?
It's
I
paid.
thought it was free.
Damn.
And then I guess it's Callisto Protocol at the start of December.
Will you be getting that on launch,
definitely
Mike?
will too.
Callisto Protocol?
Probably.
I'm
Yeah.
Review it on the
actually
site.
interested in getting it.
I might,
On the site,
yeah.
on the podcast.
If it
I might.
reviews well, I might get it as well. to be
Yeah, I
honest.
think I might. I downloaded.
I like its diegetic system.
Downloaded the Mummy Demastered, I think it's called.
Oh, yes, that's a cool
On
game.
Switch, and I heard it's really
yeah.
good. I heard it's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Is that Way Forward, I think?
Yeah.
I think it's
Don't
Way Forward, yeah.
Remember,
I'm
but it was
90%
down to $10, including the discount. And stuff
Oh, really?
like
It's
that.
not
So
special. $10.
It
Oh.
wasn't special. Yeah, this was 2 days ago.
I do
something,
feel like
2 days
Mike
ago,
will
I don't
buy
remember,
anything as long as it's
But
on
let's see.
special. It
No,
doesn't
but
matter.
this actually I've been keeping
know,
my
I
eye out
missed-
for
I missed the
ages, and
game.
I didn't see it on special.
I missed the Game Espresso segment, Mike. You know, you need to bring that back. Sometime.
It's still on sale.
I
It's
will
$12
bring it back.
bucks.
It's
Swinny.
still on sale. Yeah, cool. I feel like it's worth $12. for
And it
the,
is way forward.
Yeah, cool.
there you
It was
go.
better than the movie. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
that
I heard
everyone
it's
would
actually a
always
really
say.
good game. So yeah.
They just need to bring back what's his name, Brendan Fraser, after his success of his latest movie, The Whale.
All right, on that
It's gone in
note,
every direction. This
on
show.
that note, the whale is what we end on. Thank you for joining us, and we will be back next week. Who knows what we're talking about, but it'll be surely video game related for once.
Maybe.
Until then, catch us later.
Adios.
Good night, Navidad.